Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into some Emerson today, his essays on self-reliance and friendship.
Oh, those are great.
Yeah, they really are. And they get you thinking. When I read them, it's like Emerson is celebrating this power we have as individuals, right? But then he also talks about how important it is to have those deep connections with others.
Yeah.
It's like, can you have both? You know?
Oh, absolutely. It seems contradictory, right?
Right.
But I think as we dig into Emerson, like really get into it, we'll see that maybe these ideas aren't opposites after all. They might actually work together somehow.
It's a good point. I mean, right off the bat in Self-Reliance, Emerson hits us with that line, trust thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. It's like he's saying, listen to your gut.
Yeah. It's all about owning who you are.
Totally. Be yourself no matter what anyone else thinks. But I guess that was a pretty radical idea back then, huh?
Oh, in the 1800s. Totally radical.
Yeah, right.
Think about it. Back then, everyone was expected to just fit in, follow the rules, all that.
Right. And Emerson's like, nope. He's like, break free. Find your own genius.
Exactly. He believed society, like all those expectations, could actually make us weaker.
Interesting. He even says, flat out, whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist.
Right. Like, forget what everyone else is doing. Do your own thing.
Yeah. I love that image he uses, too, about writing whim on our doorposts.
That's a great visual.
Yeah, like a reminder to always be true to ourselves.
Absolutely. Though, I gotta say, Emerson took this idea pretty far. He even suggested, if you feel something deep down, even if it feels kind of bad, like it's from the devil, just go with it.
Whoa. Really? Live from the devil? That's intense.
Yeah, Emerson was not messing around.
I don't know about all that, but it definitely makes you think. Like, what does it really mean to live by your own truth, especially today?
It's a great question. For me, it starts with really understanding yourself, your values, what you believe in, what you want out of life,
Yeah.
being honest about who you are, even if it's different from what people expect.
I see what you mean.
And maybe that's where some of the danger comes in, like you said.
Right, if you take it too far.
Exactly. It's not about throwing all morals out the window.
No, of course not.
I think what Emerson's getting at is that we shouldn't let fear hold us back.
Right, or let society dictate our every move.
Yeah. He wants us to question those beliefs that we just accept without thinking, those things that might be keeping us from our full potential.
That makes sense. So it's about finding that sweet spot, honoring who you are, but also thinking about how your actions affect other people.
Exactly. And that actually leads us to another one of Emerson's cool ideas. He thinks that both action and inaction, they can both be part of self-reliance.
Okay, that sounds confusing.
Right. He uses this metaphor about a piece of wood. One piece might become a weather vane, always moving with the wind. Another might become a sleeper for a bridge, totally still and strong.
I like that image.
Yeah, and he's saying both have a purpose.
Right, so it's not always about striving for more or achieving more.
Exactly. Sometimes it's about knowing when to be still, when to reflect.
Right, being in tune with yourself.
Yeah. And Emerson believed that this ability to tune in, it comes from our intuition.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're saying he thought we were all born with this inner wisdom.
Exactly. He saw it in children, babies, even animals.
Wow. What makes us lose that as we grow up?
He thought we overthink things. We lose touch with that simple knowing.
Yeah, I get that. So how do we get back to that childlike trust? What works for you?
It's a journey, for sure. But I think things like meditation, spending time in nature, really listening to that inner voice, it can all help.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay, so we've talked about self-reliance, but Emerson also wrote a whole essay about friendship, which is interesting because it almost seems like, I don't know, a different topic?
Right, like how does self-reliance connect with having relationships?
Exactly, but Emerson ties it together. He actually thinks that real friendship helps us become more ourselves.
Totally. Like a true friend helps you grow.
Yeah, but he's not talking about just any friend, right? He's talking about those deep connections.
Oh yeah, he calls it a meeting of souls in the highest style. He wanted friends who challenged him, made him think.
He even asks, can another be so blessed and we so pure that we can offer him tenderness? Like, that's deep.
Right, it's about finding people who really see you, who you can be completely yourself with.
And that's where it connects back to self-reliance, I guess. Because if you're not comfortable with yourself, you can't really be that kind of friend to someone else.
Exactly. It all comes back to knowing and trusting yourself.
And then you can find those people who help you grow even more.
It's like a cycle.
Right. But there's this interesting thing, too. Emerson also talks about the importance of solitude.
Oh yeah, he loved his alone time.
Right. So he wants deep connection, but he also needs space.
It's like a paradox.
Yeah. So how do you balance that? How do you have those close friendships and also give yourself the space you need?
That's something we'll keep exploring as we go deeper into these essays. It seems like Emerson found a way, and maybe we can too.
Yeah, maybe we can figure it out together. So it's like we need both, right? Connection and being alone.
Yeah, it's fascinating how Emerson puts it. We need those deep friendships to nourish us, But we also need that time alone to just grow on our own.
Like tending our own gardens.
Exactly. And maybe when we do that, when we nurture ourselves, we become even better friends to others. We have more to give.
That's a really nice way to think about it. And there's this other part in friendship where Emerson talks about how true connections have this like magnetic pull.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
He says friendship requires that rare mean betwixt likeness and unlikeness that piques each with the presence of power and of consent in the other party. It's like there's this spark when you meet someone who's both similar and different from you.
Yeah, it's not about finding a clone of yourself. It's about finding someone who gets you, but also challenges you.
Someone who pushes you to grow. I mean, thinking about my own friends, some are super supportive, always there for me, and those are great.
Of course, we all need that.
But then there are those friends who, like, really make me question things. They see the world differently, and it helps me see things in a new way, too.
And I think Emerson valued both kinds of friendships, but he really believed that the best ones, the most powerful ones, offer both.
Support and challenge.
Exactly. He wanted friends who could help him see his blind spots, his weaknesses, like holding up a mirror.
Yeah, I get that. Reading Emerson, it makes you think about your own friendships, doesn't it?
For sure. He makes you want to be more intentional about the people you spend time with.
Seek out those who help you grow. But it's not just about who we surround ourselves with, right?
Right. It also comes back to that self-reliance thing.
Oh, yeah, taking care of yourself.
Exactly. Emerson believed that we need to have a strong sense of self to truly connect with others.
So you're saying knowing yourself helps you be a better friend.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing your own worth, trusting your own instincts. And that can be tough, especially in a world that's always telling us who to be.
So true. Like, we're bombarded with messages about how we should look, how we should act.
Right. And Emerson is like, nope, be yourself. He saw that as true strength.
Yeah. Not letting society dictate who you are. That's a powerful message.
It is. He even saw nonconformity as a kind of social responsibility.
Whoa, really? Like, being yourself helps make the world a better place.
That was his thinking. Like, if we're all true to ourselves, it creates a more accepting world.
That's pretty cool. So, in a way, self-reliance and friendship, I kind of go hand in hand.
I think so. Being yourself makes you a better friend, and having good friends helps you grow into your best self.
It's a beautiful cycle.
It is, and it connects to this bigger idea that Emerson was really into about how everything is connected.
Yeah, like we're all part of something bigger.
Exactly. His ideas are just so layered and thought-provoking. It makes you really think about yourself, your place in the world.
He does make you think. It's not always easy, but it's definitely empowering.
I agree. He reminds us that we have the power to create our own lives, to make choices that align with our values.
We've talked a lot about why Emerson thought all this was important. But what about, like, how? Did he give any examples of what this looks like in real life?
Oh, for sure. Like in Self-Reliance, he talks a lot about intuition.
That inner voice we were talking about before.
Right. He believed that we all have this inner compass, and it can guide us if we learn to listen to it.
But we don't always trust it, right?
No, exactly. We second guess ourselves. We listen to what other people think.
We try to fit in.
Exactly. And Emerson is like, stop doing that. Trust yourself. He believed our intuition could lead us to truth and happiness.
Okay, but how do we do that? How do we strengthen that connection with our intuition?
Well, he didn't give a step-by-step guide or anything, but he did have some suggestions.
Like what?
Spending time in nature, being creative, just paying attention to that quiet voice inside.
And maybe, most importantly, believing in ourselves.
Totally. Having faith in our own judgment, even when it feels scary.
Like, don't follow the crowd just because it's easier.
Yeah. Find your own path. Trust your gut.
That's so relevant today, don't you think? With all the noise out there, all the opinions flying around, it's easy to lose sight of what we truly believe.
I agree. It's more important than ever to have that strong inner compass, that self-reliance that Emerson talked about.
It's almost like he's saying, be your own best friend.
That's such a great way to put it. And it brings us back to the heart of it all, doesn't it? Self-reliance and friendship, they're not so different after all. They support each other.
Two sides of the same coin.
Exactly. And when we nurture both, we create a more fulfilling life, a life that's true to ourselves and deeply connected to others.
It's really amazing how Emerson can take these big ideas like self-reliance and friendship and make them feel so real, so connected to our lives today.
He's really good at that.
Yeah. And one thing that really stuck with me is how much he talks about living in the moment.
Oh yeah, being present.
Exactly. He talks about how we're always stuck in the past or worrying about the future, and we miss out on what's right here, right now.
It's like that line he has, something about how man postpones or remembers, he does not live in the present.
Yes. And it's so true, right? We get so caught up in our heads.
Totally. Reliving old stuff, stressing about what might happen, and we forget to just, enjoy the moment.
And Emerson thought that being present, like really present, is where you find peace and happiness.
Yeah, he saw it in nature, like a tree just exists, doesn't worry about yesterday or tomorrow.
That's a good point. It makes me think maybe we try to control things too much. Maybe we should just let go a little, trust that things will work out.
That's a big part of Emerson's philosophy, actually. Surrendering to something bigger than ourselves. He called them spiritual laws.
Spiritual laws. I'm curious, what did he mean by that?
It's like he believed there's this deeper order to the universe, something beyond our control. It guides everything.
So it's not about religion, really.
No, not in a traditional sense. It's more like recognizing this universal wisdom that's always at work.
I see. Like there are these bigger forces shaping our lives.
Exactly. And Emerson thought that when we try to fight against it, when we try to force things, that's when we struggle.
But if we let go, if we align ourselves with these spiritual laws, things flow more easily.
Yeah, he actually writes, a higher law than that of our will regulates events. Like, our efforts don't really matter that much.
Wow. So it's more about trusting the process, aligning ourselves with truth and goodness?
And that's where intuition comes back in.
Oh, right, because if we listen to our gut, we're more likely to make choices that are in line with these spiritual laws.
Exactly. It's like we have this inner guidance system if we just learn to use it.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. As we wrap up, what are some of the key things you hope people take away from all this Emerson stuff?
Well, I hope they see that self-reliance isn't about being alone. It's about trusting yourself, your intuition.
Right. And knowing that there's this bigger wisdom guiding us?
And of course, I hope they think about friendship in a new way, how those deep connections can help us grow, become more ourselves.
Yeah, and maybe be more present, more in the moment.
Absolutely. It's all connected. Like Emerson said, the only way to have a friend is to be one. So be a good friend to yourself, find those true connections with others, and embrace this journey of figuring out who you really are.
Well said. It's been a great deep dive. And for everyone listening, thanks for joining us. We hope you learned something new and maybe feel inspired to check out some Emerson on your own. Until next time.